You're such an asshole.
Love getting questions about things I'm not an official expert in, but those fields where people are experts in it are so fraudulent that anyone really can just walk in there with a swinging dick and like, hey, marriage counselor can't be, because has marriage counseling ever worked? Psychology ever worked? Psychotherapist? Has a therapist cured one person? Heard of this time this therapist ended up like going on drugs and had to go to Russia to be saved? I just had his daughter is just a rank street whore. I just Yet he's the best-selling author, and I'm not. Fine, I'm family relationship expert, Cappy. I'm a sexpert. I'm a therapist-spert. I'm a family relation expert. I'm a financial genius. He's just ahead of his time. Because whoever's awarding you guys your doctorates is how does that work? I sat here for 8 years. Can I get my doctorate now? Yeah, sure. How does this work again? You just make it up and charge $300 an hour. Anonymous writes, want to ask about cutting off parents. But yes, what do you mean cutting off parents? Why are they living off you? I like your analysis of view on things. I was hoping you could let me know what you think about this situation. As for processing the length, I front-loaded the questions and most relevant details for answering the questions up front to be able to answer the questions as early as possible. In the background that comes later, it's just extra, but I think important. As for that history and background that comes later, I don't need you to read aloud and respond to every single point in an event, maybe ones you consider poignant, just that you read and have an idea of how it's all impacted. I'd like a video response. Please keep me anonymous. Let me know. Try. Okay. My parent, I'm trying to reconcile between my dwelling anger about times when I was abused and treated like crap, and the realization that yes, there were good times to good treatment during and since. I'm wondering if this long-term dwelling anger is a personality flaw of mine, or is this more of a matter of, hey, Becky beats the crap out of her toddler every day, but also cooks him dinner and gets him ready for school? My parents abused me profusely. Then once I grew, okay, physical abuse, or were they spanking you? Verbal or not? And yes, it does matter. Then once I grew up, was supporting myself, things got better. Later, as I became more self-aware, I realized my mother wouldn't apologize. It took no accountability for what she did to me. So I caught contact for 2.5 years, then reestablished the relationship a couple years ago. Then there were new hints about half a year ago about reverting to old patterns. Okay, I need to know what this abuse is. If your mom hit you, you walk away, you never come back. Your mom called you names and was like verbally, like genuinely verbally abusive, as opposed to constructive criticism. See, I got to figure out, because according to millennials, my dad told me to get a job. He abused me. My mom had a bad day and told me to shut the F up. Not really abuse. My mom told me daily that I was a disgusting piece of crap. And were you? You weren't? You're working hard? And she played favorites and would ground me because I didn't believe in the guy nailed to the piece of wood with long hair and looked like a hippie pedophile. That's abuse, all right? But I need to know really what it was. And it indicates to me this wasn't physical abuse, because if you have left and she's going to hints that she's going to start up again, what was she, lacing her boxing gloves? Referring to old patterns, so I cut contact and haven't talked to him since. I would also say like disrespect, where they're just gonna, I don't know, they're just gonna treat you like crap and not treat you as an adult. That's another reason to put them on ice, but that's not abuse. And while I'm not tense and effed up from my mom's manipulation, my stepdad's verbal abuse. Oh, okay, let's stop here. There is abuse there. Your mom brought you into, and your dad brought you into, a broken home. That's abuse. A dysfunctional, broken family. A non-nuclear family is abuse. There, I said it. Prove me wrong. Your stepdad's verbal abuse. What was that? Is it him just trying to get you to get a job? I need to know what this abuse is. It's still effing with me. I'm still pretty raw and ascribe to the notion that if you kick a dog enough, he's just not going to come back. Should I keep contact or cut? Is what I'm doing the best call to make? Is there any value in reintroducing him to my life again? They viciously abused me verbally and mentally. That's not physical. All the way up through when I moved out and my own after college, began supporting myself at 22. They had me convinced that I would only ever be a lazily worthless piece of crap who would never amount to anything. A no count, as my mom would call me. They scream obscenities in my face about how worthless and stupid I was. Okay, if they screamed obscenities in your face, that is verbal abuse. Yes, despite this, I've progressed far in my career, now earn a salary knocking on $200,000, all largely without their help and despite their discouragement. I got to college in 2004, no jobs. I'm one of the older millennials, having turned 40 a few months ago. We got to work. This 30s millennial living at home with no job or not trying to get one is a phenomenon I've never understood. I can't relate to. Well, if you see, in one sense, your parents did do you a favor there. You sound more like you came from a Gen X background where like you're just, they're in your face, they're yelling and screaming, there's divorce and all that. And we're like, oh my God, you're amazing. So in this way, although it was not intentional on their part, they gave you the vinegar and piss and anger to prove them wrong. Or just like, I'm not having any of this crap. You went on and did something other, better with your life. I had to live at home while applying for jobs and interviewing. I suppose that was a favor, and they reminded me of it every day. It was mostly my stepdad's instigating, but my mom would egg him on and not speak up for me that, yes, I was actually busting my ass off to find a job. He stormed through the house on the first day back from college. Does he have an apartment yet? Mom would say, no, he doesn't have a job yet. I can understand that. I'm actually like, yeah, why would you move back home, man? Why didn't you have a job? Like even work in security or drive an Uber or something. He'd bang on my bedroom door and say, it's getting old. You leaving for these interviews right on time. Stupid. I'm not stupid. Stupid. I'm not stupid. I'm not. Are they Jewish? Where they put the verb in front of the adjective or whatever it is? I just want to get a full-time job and move out. Why would I want to put them and me through that prolong? They didn't understand. There were just no entry-level jobs. The employers all wanted experience. My parents didn't care. It was all my fault. I was putting on a suit and going to a F ton of these interviews, only to be told I didn't have the salesperson. I didn't have enough experience. The workforce in my hometown at the time was full of boomers and mid-late 30s, people with a decade-plus experience. They would just always go with them. Even for temp jobs, military by this time? Even for temp jobs, I was told the client would say, send me 5 resumes, send me 10 resumes, send me 30 resumes. I plugged away at this for 3 months before landing a job. I made a pledge to myself when I was in the house and during that antagonism, constant leap taking and braiding about my laziness and not listening to people. Hold on to this anger. Things aren't going to be like this forever. You're eventually going to get a job and be out of here. And when you do, remember how angry you were here is in this moment. Don't let them off easy for what they did to you. Once I was out on my own, I didn't talk to my mom for 6 months. I was so pissed. Maybe I'd visit for a holiday or two. Then over the years, things got better. They took me on a cruise with them. I'd visit more. I acknowledged that I got out of college owing some $10,500 in student debt. That's not bad. So my mom had paid something. Hey, that's something, right? In my early 30s, through becoming more self-aware, looking for life coaching, life direction, whatever you want to call it, and rediscovering PUA, I was introduced to a coach who said, have you answered this going to shape? How you answer this is going to shape some difficult decisions you're going to have to make. For instance, my parents are barred from ever meeting my children. I grew up in a house where everything you got a slap, even spilled water. Did she ever apologize to you? Yeah, that the apology is the number one. This is where you should listen to some Molyneux about this. I had to accept that no, she didn't. She was not accountable and felt that she had done nothing wrong. I wrote a 3-page letter. I didn't talk to her or him for 2.5 years. Well, what did the letter say? Then in 2019, I started talking to them again. Things were fine for a while. Then October of last year, there was a beach house trip with them and some of the family. On the last day of the trip, when everybody was packing, my stepdad was going around, getting up in everybody's face like he wanted to fight. Thanks for nothing, he said to me, because I couldn't take more stuff in the car. I was having flashbacks of the abuse from him in the 90s, and my heart was pounding, hands were shaking. Mom did nothing. All right. It sounds like, if that's it, and they sound like weapons grades dicks. These sound like people I wouldn't talk to anymore. Abuse or not. You certainly, 3 months, you lived at home for 3 months, you got a job, that's certainly perfectly fine. And they just sound like dicks. And frankly, your mom not sticking around with your dad and not having a stepdad and your stepdad, like, yeah, no. I wouldn't talk with these people. I wouldn't bother with them. In the anger and tension I felt for days after this, I told my doctor who's been helping me with anxiety, mostly trauma, social. I haven't needed benzos he gives me in several months. I've been doing good going to the gym. And what insight does that give you? Asked. Well, I know he was squarely in the wrong. No room for interpretation here, and to never go down there again, never associate with those people. He says, well, I mean, if you want to cut your mother out of your life, you can do that. But I mean, I decided they could forget seeing me for Christmas. She called me a week before Christmas 21 if I was coming down. I told her no, and that I had already told her no. I told her no, and that I had already told her no. She responded, okay, that's fine, in the typical not a problem manipulative tone women take. I told her that, thinking back now how I was treated in October, putting myself all around, all of that would be a bad idea. Here's another problem. Look, and this has nothing to do whether you're abused or not, or whether you should say, if your stepdad does that and gets you, you could end up in jail socking him one. I'm not joking. Like, you could lose it and end up having a criminal record. So an added reason that has nothing to do with the underlying problems and psychology, of which I'm not a therapist. But if your stepdad is like that and you're shaking, that's because you're about to murder him. All right. Or really clobber him one. And so, and he might need it. He might deserve it. And like 50 years ago, that might have put him in your place, or put him in his place. And then you would have gotten respect. But now that's just going to be a lawsuit. So if you're like, yeah, man, from a legal perspective, you don't want to go to jail. She manipulatively said she's not going to discuss this with me. If anyone treats me abusively, they lose the opportunity to ever interact with me again. I said, boom, perfect. She said that I owed and what my responsibility was to face the person. Oh, your therapist is a doctor. Okay, call me. What I owed was to face the person who I had such a problem with. She was trying to corner me into a fight. Oh, this is your mom. Okay. Again, she continued to interrupt me and talk over me, so I hung up. There you go. Good. Yeah. If they don't listen, yep. I'm starting to get the picture now. Starting to get the picture. I then text her, I never asked you. Okay, you got to stop it, man. It's like you going back to an ex-girlfriend. You either talk to them or you don't. Okay? Knock it off with the texting later. Walk away. I never asked you all for a goddamn thing after I was out on my own and supporting myself. You wanted me out of the house that bad? You got it. You got it. See about going back to the worst past moment like it just happened and still raw, but it is a flaw. A couple months later, I texted her again. Okay. Well, yeah, it's your problem. All right. To never call me again to argue, interrupt me, and talk to me. She texted, go to hell. Okay, there's your answer. They don't love you. I said she reminded me of my sister who usually abused all 4 of her husbands, and my grandmother who abused my mother and sisters the same way. Weeks later, I found out they removed from Facebook and blocked me. There's no other contact. Leave me up there. Here's a little more what they did to me in her anger. My dad had a messy divorce. My mom abused the crap out of me for about a year in the 90s. One day, she beat me viciously, all while screaming, I'll beat the bleep out of you, goddamn. Okay. In a blood-curdling, screaming voice for a misdeed no worse than any adolescent forgetfulness. I was like 13. Had to physically defend myself finally, and what I had to do was pretty severe. Let my own dated around, mostly work, and would always seem to bring in these guys to say, those bastard sons of yours out. My 10-year-old siblings were already out of the house. Dad, yeah, I don't have to read through all this. No, you don't talk to her anymore. These are bad people. I mean, keep going to your therapist, keep talking to it, but no. And stop. I'm never talking to you again. That's why I'm calling you now. Go away. Walk away. That's it. And you say, am I the asshole here? No, you're not. No, you're not. Abuse is abuse. I don't care if it's your mom or dad or a random person on the street. Abuse is abuse. So there we go. Flaming TP. Tree Fitty. Stop abusing my wallet, you Loch Ness monster. Oh, Lord. That's it. There you go. All right. See you guys later. Toodles.